Hello and welcome to Weekly News Highlights. I'm Kim Dami in Seoul. Let's begin with the week's keywords. The first in-person high-level talks between South Korea and the U.S. took place since the political turmoil here in the country began in early December. The two sides reaffirmed their strong alliance amid political uncertainty. North Korea test-fired what it claimed to be a new hypersonic missile on Tuesday, 2 weeks ahead of the launch of the Trump administration. The leader Kim Jong-un said that the missile would reliably deter enemy threats in the Pacific region. The world's biggest tech show, CES, returned to Las Vegas this week with artificial intelligence taking over the 2025 edition once again, but this time AI that is catered towards consumers' lifestyles. Diplomatic engagements between Seoul and Washington officially resumed in the new year after being postponed over the complex political situation rooted in South Korea's impeached president's martial law declaration on December 3rd. The first to be resumed was a foreign ministry meeting that underlined the allies' strong partnership. Our foreign affairs correspondent Bae Eun-ji starts us off.
With just around 2 weeks left before his term ends, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has made his final visit to South Korea. Sitting down for talks with the South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol, the two sides reaffirmed that the alliance remains strong, despite the political uncertainty.
Today, we reaffirm that there are no gaps in the alliance between South Korea and the United States. I have made it clear that under the leadership of Acting President Choi Sang-mok, we will continue to implement our foreign policy based on stable national governance and a strong ROK-US alliance.
When asked about whether the South Korean government is communicating with Trump's team, the foreign minister said there will be no changes to the alliance, regardless of who takes office in either the U.S. or South Korea. He said even when the new Trump administration comes into power, policies will be closely coordinated based on shared values. Blinken also stressed that the alliance remains more essential than ever and addressed threats from North Korea. He said the two countries condemned the North's latest missile launch, saying this is yet another violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions, and added that South Korea, the US, and Japan are exchanging real-time data about the regime's ballistic missile launches. He also expressed concern about military cooperation between North Korea and Russia, calling it a two-way street.
The DPRK is already receiving Russian military equipment and training. Now, we have reason to believe that Moscow intends to share advanced space and satellite technology with Pyongyang, and that Putin may be close to reversing a decades-long policy by Russia and accepting DPRK's nuclear weapons program.
Earlier in the day, Blinken also met with the country's acting president Choi Sang-mok. In a closed-door meeting, the top American diplomat said he has complete confidence in Choi's leadership and that Washington's commitment toward defending South Korea remains strong. Blinken is set to travel to Tokyo after wrapping up his trip to Seoul. Bae Eun-ji, Arirang News.
And Andy Kim, who recently became the first ever Korean-American senator, also said South Korea must focus on resolving political uncertainty. He added that any attempt by President-elect Donald Trump to withdraw or draw down American troops in Korea will be met with pushback. Here's what he had to say.
Amid speculation that President-elect Donald Trump could possibly seek to pull American troops out of South Korea, the first-ever Korean-American senator, Andy Kim, warned that he believes there will be strong bipartisan pushback if Trump were to hint at taking such action. Speaking to reporters in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, Kim stressed that the United States also strategically benefits from defending its ally in Asia. Commenting on concerns about the incoming Trump administration's foreign policy, Kim vowed to protect alliances and partnerships in the Indo-Pacific region and serve as a bridge between South Korea and the United States. He specifically said that he will stand up vigorously if Trump attempts to use military or economic coercion against Asian partners. The senator also addressed the turmoil in South Korea following President Yoon Suk-yeol's declaration of martial law and said the country must focus on resolving political uncertainty. Stressing that it's a critical time for stability, he cautioned that it's not for any particular individual to use the situation to advance their political ambitions, noting that South Korean politicians need to be very careful with their thoughts. Kim also said that he was able to witness a sense of resilience in South Korea's democracy, saying that this gives reassurance that the situation will work through smoothly. Born and raised in America as a son of Korean immigrants, the three-term Democratic congressman won the Senate seat in New Jersey in an election in November. 배은지, Arirang News.
With the inauguration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump just around the corner, North Korea launched an intermediate-range ballistic missile toward waters off its east coast, breaking a 2-month-long silence. For more on this, we have our foreign affairs correspondent Eunji here in the studio with us. Welcome, Eunji.
Thanks for having me.
So, Eunji, let's start with the details on the launch. When, where, and what type of missile?
Sure, so it was on Monday that North Korea launched a ballistic missile toward the East Sea. South Korea's military announced that the missile was fired from the Pyongyang area and that it flew a little more than 1,000 kilometers. A military official explained that the missile is thought to be similar to the North's intermediate-range ballistic missiles carrying a hypersonic warhead that were launched in January and April last year. Hypersonic missiles are harder to track and shoot down than conventional ballistic missiles, as they can travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound and because they can maneuver in mid-flight. Also, theoretically, IRBM missiles are thought to be capable of reaching U.S. military bases in Guam, which is around 3,400 kilometers away from Pyongyang, if launched at its maximum range.
Right, but the military here said the launch appears to be deceptive. What's that about?
Right, a day after carrying out the missile test, North Korea claimed that it was successful and that it flew at around 12 times the speed of sound for about 1,500 kilometers. However, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff questioned these claims, citing inconsistencies in the reported flight path and performance, as it earlier estimated that the missile flew 1,100 kilometers before falling into the sea.
We believe North Korea's claims about the missile's flight distance and second apex altitude are likely exaggerated.
The North state media said its leader Kim Jong-un and his daughter Kim Ju-ae observed Monday's launch remotely, framing it as evidence of the regime's growing weapons capabilities. Kim said the goal is to position a weapon system that no one can counter as the core of the regime's strategic deterrence. He also said Monday's launch clearly showed the rivals what North Korea is doing and that they're ready to use any means to defend their interests.
It's important to talk about the timing of the launch, isn't it?
Right, the latest missile launch marks the North's first missile launch of the year. What's important is that it was carried out 2 weeks before President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration and during U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's trip to Seoul for talks with some of South Korea's key officials. So the move is seen as an apparent effort to boast of its military capabilities and threaten the United States. The last time Pyongyang launched missiles was in November, just before the presidential election in the U.S.
Given the timing and range, and that it's just 14 days before the inauguration of Trump's second term, it appears that North Korea intended to assert dominance of the U.S.
And another expert also noted that the test was carried out just before Kim Jong-un's birthday.
Whether he's 41, 42, apparently January 8th is the date that he was born. And I think a test had to occur before such an important day, and it would be that much more meaningful if it was a success.
And I'm sure countries around the world also made their own reactions. Let's talk about that.
Right, the international community was quick to respond to the latest launch. The United Nations Security Council convened a meeting in New York on Wednesday where South Korea and other countries, including the United States, the UK, and France, strongly denounced the North's recent actions.
This launch, as well as each of the over 100 ballistic missile launches it has carried out since the beginning of 2022, is a flagrant violation of the UN Security Council's resolutions.
So at the meeting, the United States also warned that the North is becoming better prepared for war as it fights against Ukraine alongside Russian forces.
That does sound very concerning. Eunji, thank you for the wrap-up today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
January 27th of this year, right before the Lunar New Year holiday, will be a temporary extra holiday. This creates 6 consecutive days off in a bid to boost consumer spending. The decision was made during a meeting at the National Assembly to discuss ways to improve the economy and people's livelihoods. Ahead of Seollal later this month, the government unveiled measures to help people better enjoy the holidays. Its main focus is stabilizing grocery prices. The government is increasing the supply of 16 key grocery items for the Seollal season by 150% to help lower people's grocery bills. Also, the price of KTX and SRT train tickets will be reduced by up to 40%. A state-run think tank this week shed light on the broader impact of Korea's political unrest on its economic sentiment among households and businesses alike. Our Choi Min-jung explains.
The South Korean economy is experiencing mounting downward pressure amid domestic political uncertainty. The Korea Development Institute said in a report Wednesday that South Korea's economic sentiments have dropped significantly due to the recent political unrest following President Yoon Suk-yeol's short-lived martial law declaration on December 3rd. Household and corporate sentiment indices have fallen further than during President Park Geun-hye's impeachment in 2016. The Composite Consumer Sentiment Index declined by 9.4 points over 3 months in 2016, whereas it dropped by 12.3 points in just 1 month during the recent turmoil. The recent Business Survey Index also fell comparatively sharper than during Park's impeachment. As figure suggests, an expert says the current situation is much more uncertain than it was during the Park Geun-hye impeachment proceedings.
Currently, many of the problems that Korea is facing concerning the impeachment is outside the Constitution or somewhere where it's not really very well defined by the Constitution. So in some sense, we are in a very uncertain ground that is basically increased not only political but economic uncertainty.
The KDI also noted that economic recovery is being delayed by slowing production growth. The construction sector has continued to struggle with weak performance, while industrial production in mining and manufacturing receded in recent months, despite high growth in semiconductors due to declines in automobile production. Despite the recent political turmoil, however, financial market indicators such as exchange rates and stock prices have remained relatively stable. Experts also expect some recovery in economic sentiment, but believe it'll be harder the longer the current political turmoil lasts. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Now, on the corporate front, both Samsung Electronics and LG Electronics expect a substantial drop in operating profits for the final quarter of 2024, amid soaring expenses and slowing demand. Lee Eun-jin has more.
Samsung Electronics reported Wednesday that the company's estimated operating profits for the October to December period came to 6.5 trillion won, which is around $4.5 billion. That's a decline of nearly 30% compared to the previous quarter. The chipmaker said this was due to lower global demand for PCs and mobile phones, as well as higher R&D costs. Revenue for the fourth quarter rose 10.7% to 75 trillion won, or $51.6 billion on year. For 2024, the annual operating profit came to 32.73 trillion won, or around $22.5 billion, up nearly 400% from the previous year. Meanwhile, LG Electronics also reported on Wednesday that the company's estimated operating profits for the fourth quarter came to 3.43 trillion won, or $2.4 billion, down 6.1% compared to the year before. The company said its sluggish earnings were due to global economic uncertainties. However, the country's leading home appliance maker recorded 87.74 trillion won, or $60.33 billion in annual revenue for 2024, marking a new record for the highest annual revenue in the company's history. Both companies plan to release their final earnings results later this month. Lee Eun-jin, Arirang News.
The first big annual tech event of the year, CES, stole the show in Las Vegas this year. Let's take a look at what's new and what's hot at CES 2025. Our Moon Hae-ryun went to Las Vegas to file this report.
Among the incredible tech on display at CES 2025, the CTA draws attention to a select few lauded for their excellence in design and engineering through the CES Innovation Awards. LG Electronics made a remarkable showing at CES 2025, securing 3 Best of Innovation awards. Leading the accolades was LG's OLED TV, and this marks the 3rd consecutive year that this product's line has earned the Best of Innovation award and an unprecedented 13 consecutive years of CES Innovation Awards. In the gaming category, the LG UltraGear OLED gaming monitor was a standout, clinching the Best of Innovation award. The curve of the monitor fits the curved angle of the human eyeball, meaning that there is no distortion of the video on the screen perceived by our eyes. And another South Korean tech giant, Samsung Electronics, emerged as a standout at CES 2025, receiving CES Innovation Awards across a range of categories, including video displays, home appliances, and mobile devices. Samsung's dominance in the video display category continues with 3 Best of Innovation honors as its 2025 lineup of TVs, monitors, and related services underscored its leadership in cutting-edge display technology, while the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro also claimed a Best of Innovation award in the mobile category. Sony, as a renowned audio and display powerhouse, was honored with 2 Best of Innovation awards for its flagship theater speakers and its XR head-mounted display and controller. The display is part of its groundbreaking spatial content creation system that targets creators in entertainment and industrial design by harnessing Sony's imaging, sensing, and display technologies to capture real-world elements. It may look like a lot of headsets currently on the market, but it contains a number of elements that enable seamless creation.
So, as you can see, this head-mount display is a flip up. It can be flip up, so if you want to go back to the display, you don't have to take it out all the time.
CES is a global stage for firms to launch upcoming tech for the first time, and this year there were some exciting reveals from a number of big names in tech. During the keynote opening speech, NVIDIA unveiled its new graphic processing unit chips for gamers, creators, and developers. The chip maker and AI darling aims to give video games graphics that are film standard, enabling game developers to create more realistic human faces and environments all set with realistic imperfections. Part of the GeForce RTX 50 line is due to hit the shelves at the end of the month, with others available starting in February. After the reveal, NVIDIA's stocks rocketed to record highs, showing the level of anticipation for these chips. Samsung SDS launched a new extension of its Pretty Copilot software that utilizes generative AI to provide a service capable of recognizing and translating more than 3 languages simultaneously in real time. During a live demonstration, a Vietnamese employee asked a question in their native language, and moments later the question was translated into Korean. Currently, Pretty Copilot supports real-time voice recognition and subtitle translation for 10 languages and text translation for 15. The new update, coming in the following months, showcased at CES, enables the service to support real-time vocal translations, making it the first of its kind in the world. Hyundai Mobis, another South Korean firm, revealed its new holographic windshield display that aims to be on the market by 2028.
Normally, people think in consumer area, transparent display can be made by OLED and micro LED, but in automotive area, the environment is quite different.
This display is gaining attention because transparent holographic displays in cars face unique challenges: visibility under sunlight, adapting to the curved windshield, and durability in harsh conditions like high humidity, temperatures, and vibrations. With groundbreaking innovations and record-setting achievements, CES 2025 has once again set the stage for a thrilling glimpse into the future of technology. 문혜련, Arirang News, Las Vegas.
달고나, 형, 노래방, 막내, 찌개, 떡볶이, and 판소리. Do any of these words sound familiar? Well, these 7 Korean words were newly added to the Oxford English Dictionary. In its latest update in December, according to the dictionary's website on Tuesday, and perhaps evidence of Korea's cultural clout beyond its national borders. Now, 달고나 in particular became widely known through the hit Netflix series Squid Game. 달고나 is a candy made from the melted sugar, typically sold by street vendors in the form of a flat disc with a simple shape such as a heart or a star carved on its surface. Also newly added is the popular Korean dish tteokbokki. Now, tteokbokki consists of small cylindrical rice cakes cooked in a spicy gochujang sauce, typically served as a snack or street food. Experts point out how K-pop and K-dramas have introduced many Korean words to English speakers, with the number of Korean words added to the Oxford English Dictionary expected to keep growing. Words like ajumma, meaning middle-aged women, and bingsu, which is a shaved iced dessert, possibly being listed next year. It's been roughly 2 weeks since the release of Squid Game Season 2 on Netflix, and its merchandising strategy appears to be garnering just as much attention. Our Park Kwon-woo shows us how.
The global hit TV show Squid Game has returned for its second season. And the show continues to top Netflix's global top 10 TV shows chart as of Wednesday, in the second week since its release on December 26. It exceeded 126 million viewers, calculated by dividing total viewing time by the show's total runtime, in just 11 days, making it the second most watched non-English TV show on Netflix. Along with the show's popularity, the retail industry has leveraged it by creating fun experiential spaces.
This Squid Game pop-up store makes you feel like you stepped right into a scene from the show. Now I'm about to participate in the game. And if I can just grab these 5 Kongi stones, I'll be one step closer to the grand prize worth over $31 million. Maybe next time.
Since the first season of Squid Game, Korean traditional games featured in the show have gained global popularity. Accordingly, the store attracted visitors with the opportunity to try newly introduced games from the second season, including Konginori or Jackstones, with locals and international visitors joining long lines to participate.
Quite a big fan. I watched the second season really quickly, and I came because I wanted to experience the games. I hope I won't have shaky hands for this one because it looks very challenging, but I'm excited.
Products with Squid Game tie-ins, including beverages and snacks, sold at one of the major local convenience store franchises across the country, are also proving popular. And a pop-up store with all of these products has been attracting visitors, including people from abroad.
Oh, I happen to be visiting Korea, so I know this store has a pop-up, so I'm very interested to come and see.
According to an official, daily sales of these products have reached $68,000 since the release of Squid Game 2, a surge of around 60% compared to pre-release sales. He expects the trend to continue until the release of Season 3 later this year. Park Kwon-woo, Arirang News.
In 2024, the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art reached a major milestone, attracting over 220,000 foreign visitors. Our Yoon-hee brings us a closer look at what's driving the surge.
Amid increasing global interest in Korean art, the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art achieved a milestone in 2024, welcoming more than 220,000 foreign visitors. The record number of visitors was also driven in part by the increasing influx of international tourists to South Korea. The figure is a 6% increase compared to 2023 and a 36% rise compared to 2019 before the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2024, the highest number of international visitors came from the US, accounting for around 27% of the total, followed by European countries at over 26%, China with nearly 20%, and then Japan and Southeast Asia. Let's hear what foreign visitors have to say about Korean arts and culture and what particularly impressed them.
We have a friend where we come from in the United States who is Korean and is an artist, a very successful artist, and she recommended specifically that we come here, and I think we like it very much.
I was very surprised actually by the cost. It's very affordable and very accessible to everyone, which I think is a really positive thing and very different from the States. Museums can be very expensive and very costly.
One of the standout exhibitions from last year, Back to the Future, at the Seoul branch, attracted 50,000 international visitors, showcasing contemporary Korean art and works collected from 2018 to 2022.
I came here also to experiment the Korean country in general, but also since I'm also working for a gallery, the idea for me was to look closer at what we could do with Korean art, what kind of collaboration we could do with the gallery that I'm working for.
The MMCA is also expanding internationally and plans more overseas exhibitions to showcase Korea's rich culture. Last year, the museum held exhibitions in the United States and Taiwan, and this year it will expand further with exhibitions in Singapore, China, Japan, and Italy. The MMCA anticipates continued growth in its international presence in the years to come. The increase in foreign visitors is also being attributed to efforts to enhance services for international audiences. Last February, the museum launched an English language newsletter and produced short-form content with English narration and subtitles. The museum also introduced Welcome to MMCA, an educational program for foreign residents, and established a foreign supporter program offering personalized services through social media in 20 languages. The English language newsletter will soon introduce a new section, in-depth interviews with Korean artists, to provide a closer look at Korean creators. Set to launch in March, this new content aims to bring Korean artists closer to a global audience. 이은희, Arirang News.
This is where we wrap things up. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend wherever you are.